Hello, this is a trade site educational video and trade recap video. Charts as usual brought to you by eSignal 12. A couple weeks back I had posted a YouTube video showing how our seeker tool had performed in the months of October and November, basically showing you which stocks had thrown a seeker 13 sell signal in those months and how they had played out. It was a pretty popular video. I got a lot of feedback from people. So what I thought I'd do now that we're starting the new year is go back and look at basically December. I did that video before that. Go back and look at basically all the stocks that I could find that got a 13 seeker sell signal basically after Thanksgiving, and let's see how they worked. And we're going to start by quantifying how we count what works and what doesn't for the purposes of this video. Here's the Brocade BRCD on a daily chart. You can see the 13. That's the point where you get the sell signal. Now, what you really want to see is that the stock heads lower from that point, and like in the case of this stock, you can see that it sort of did. It pulled back about 50 cents, so you could maybe say that the trade worked. You had 2 weeks of lower price movement before you head up. What doesn't work is if the stock gets above that pink line that you see. Once you get a close above that line and then head a little higher, that line is going to stop and it's going to turn into a dashed line. So in the case of Brocade here, you could probably say it worked because you did have more than a week where the stock headed down from the signal. But the real key is that you have a cushion to give it between the 13 sell signal itself and that pink line. If it breaks above the pink line definitively without ever heading lower and giving us an opportunity to make money, then we would say that the trade did not work. So let's take a look at a couple of trades and just see how the month of December kind of played out. So this is a trade right here where I would say it really didn't work. I mean, you could say that it did because you can see where the 13 sell signal is. This is CDW. You can see that for 2 days after that we did head a little lower, but we immediately headed back up. We broke right above that pink risk line. So I would call that one questionable. Here's the NAVI, NAVI. Here's one where you look at the 13 sell signal. This was right around Thanksgiving. You can see how it tried to use the pink line as resistance, but then it ultimately broke above it. So again, this one, if you sold or shorted at the 13, it did head higher. I would say this did not work. So that's just how we're quantifying all this. Now let's take a look at one also, just so you know you can get buy signals. And here was a 13 buy signal on the VXUS in December. Look how that one actually led to a pretty nice bounce, and actually the risk line there, which is below the signal, of course, because it's a buy in this case, it's still being used as support by the stock. I thought that was interesting. All right, now let's just keep going from there. Let's go through the list and see what we find. So how many trades worked and didn't. So here's the SYMC. Got the Seeker 13 sell signal back at the beginning of December. I would say from every measurement that one worked, never went above the pink line. ONB also working now, never went above the pink line, finally rolled over a few days later. Here's the NCLH, another one right at the end of the year, 13 sell signal, so far heading down. Here's the CTAS. This one got a sell signal also in the last week of the year after gapping up on some news and has rolled over ever since. Here's the CINF. This one's interesting. You got a 13 sell signal. You headed lower for a couple days. You came back up. You gapped up on news and gapped above the pink line, but immediately came back and closed below it. So you never violated the line from the sense of closing above it. And now we're heading lower. So you would say, although it's awkward, that this one is working, never closed above that pink line. Here's the Broadcom, maybe late in the first week of December, got the signal, never went above the pink line and working. Yahoo's an interesting one. 13 sell signal, just right ahead of Thanksgiving on this one, actually. But that's been the top. That was after that nice run up there on the Yahoo. Here's the CBSH, got a 13 sell signal on the last day of the year. Been heading down ever since. Here's the EWBC. This is a bank. 13 sell signal. A week before the end of the year came up and came near the pink line, but did not break it, and now it's rolled over. Remember, the purpose of the pink line is to sort of give us a cushion where it can trade between the signal and what should be a properly measured stop out point. Look how significant the pink line is here. The JBHT triggered or gave us a 13 sell signal in the middle of the month. It did go higher. It ran into that pink line. It never closed above it once. Amazing, isn't that? And then rolled over, and you would say that now that is working. FISV, look at that 13 sell signal right at the high and now has rolled over. TFM, remember these are just, I found as many stocks as I could that even got these signals. If you're noticing a pattern here, there are no more that didn't work, and we're not even halfway through the list. TFM, working here a little bit. FMER, signal rolling over. over now. ODFL, this one's kind of a standalone, but look at that. Right at the high, December 1st, got the signal, and that was it. SEIC, another one, 6 days into December, gets the signal right at the high, ends up being the high. Tesla, not Tesla, got the signal. The signal immediately closed above the pink line one day, but did not continue higher the next day. So the pink line's not violated and turned into a dash line, and then starts to roll over. That's probably the most questionable one of the ones that are left, in the sense that you did close above the pink risk line. Here's the PBCT. Here's the SMCI. Found this one amusing. Got the signal, gapped over the pink line, came back in, never closed above the pink line, and heading lower from there. UBSI. And this one's interesting. It got the signal back after the first week of December, but it has not moved a ton. It's not a big mover. It's a bank stock. Has not broken the pink risk line yet, and still at this point heading lower. So you could say that that one ultimately worked. You would have had to have a lot of patience, though, on that one. Here's the NXTM. You can see the signal, never broke and closed above the risk line. Now starting to roll over. CAVM, got the signal right around Christmas, right at the high on the stock. BPFH, another one, got the signal with 3 days left in the year. Never broke above the pink line. Now rolling over. Well, HMSY. Look at this one. Got the signal back at the beginning of December, ran into the pink line, couldn't get through, rolled over nicely, and has never broken above it. So that one worked. ACWI. Look at this one right on Thanksgiving. Used the pink risk line as resistance, and then a nice big roll over here on the ACWI. Got a few left. Flex. Got the signal in the last week of the year. Worked. EXPD. Look at that. Got the signal on the high breakout day, and that was it. That was the top on EXPD. Absolutely amazing. Here's another one that I find fascinating. ETFC. This is E-Trade Financial. Look at that. 13 sell signal after the first week of December. The risk line comes into play, never breaks it. Now it's heading lower. HBAN. This one, again, never continued higher. You could probably call this one potentially a loss, in the sense that it did close just barely above the risk line. But it didn't follow through after that, which is why the risk line is still active. Excuse me. OZRX. RK, sorry. Another one that worked. This one's fun. NTAP. NTAP got the signal on the 4th day of December. That was the high. Been lower ever since, although it did bounce around a bit. PCAR. PCAR. Signal on the high of December right there. And ASML. Look at that. Never closed above the risk line. Got the signal right up against that. That's it. That's all I could find. Pretty interesting use of the tool in the month of December. Again, a lot of stocks getting the signals on different days, but all of them basically working well. I can't even count these up. It's like 50 that worked and like 2 that did not. So just a very powerful tool that we use, and we use it in a lot of different ways in the market. We also use it intraday, but I thought on the daily chart formations in particular, it's easy to kind of see how it played out. I thought I'd show you that video. Have a great trading session.